Alright, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and do you know how good this feels to say to a brand new DC Studios News Roundup video? So just in case you missed my video yesterday, which was a Creature Commandos Episode 3 breakdown, I am back now from my mini-moon and my wedding. Thank you to all of those of you who sent me congratulations online. It was absolutely amazing, and just saying it again for those who missed that video, luckily the Superman trailer didn't drop, so, you know, that's lucky for me. I know some of you would have liked it to have dropped sooner, but we're going to get into that in today's video, and a ton of other news. Prepare yourself for a big DC Studios news roundup, because we're covering the DCU Superman, what may come with the Superman trailer in terms of a bit of a DC slate rehash or update, if you will. Then we've got stuff to do with Clayface, big stuff going on there with Mike Flanagan, and all kinds of updates in this video that I think you guys will absolutely want to stay tuned for. So as usual, this video is timestamped, but first, before we get into the massive news roundup video, a quick word from this video's sponsor, FanHome. So ladies and gentlemen, we're back with FanHome again. As I've mentioned in my previous sponsored videos, I don't actually take sponsorships all that often, but the past couple that I've integrated into the channel have been exclusively with FanHome and the fantastic models that they offer. So just in case you didn't know already, FanHome are very well known for their large catalog of fantastic collectible models. And so this time, I'm very happy to say that they've once again come back to me and have sent me their first issue of the Star Trek Starships diecast collection. So guys, with this subscription, you can build up new replica starship models from the Star Trek universe. The new collection from FanHome offers officially licensed, finely crafted diecast models between 15 and 25 centimeters long, based on the original VFX files ranging from the latest Star Trek series from Picard, Prodigy, Lower Decks, Discovery, and Strange New Worlds. And here you can see I was actually sent the model of the USS Titan from Star Trek Picard. Now, each package receive also comes with a magazine that profiles the ship, exploring its in-universe story, design process, and original production art, with even contributions from the show's creators to provide insight into the evolution of the ships. Now, during your subscription, you will also receive free subscription gifts such as a dedication plaque, the USS Eves, a Turbolift Akudagram, and a Raktajino mug. So, ladies and gentlemen, if this interests you, click on the link in the description of this video, also in the top pinned comment of the comment section, and start collecting your very own Star Trek ship models today. Now, if you're interested in subscribing to the entire Star Trek Starships collection, you'll be able to do so starting from the beginning of 2025. However, FanHome is also offering a new single purchase plan on their website, which is available soon this month in December. Now, don't forget to use my personal code in the checkout to help support the channel. That should be displayed on screen somewhere, or in the description, or in a top pinned comment. And lastly, honestly, just a huge thank you to FanHome for sponsoring this video and just continuing to work with us on the channel. But now, let's get back to the video at hand. So first up, we need to, as usual, get into a little update on the Superman trailer. And well, I say little, but this could actually lead to some very interesting things that are floating around the streets, so to speak. So what is it that I'm teasing with regards to, okay, Boba, you keep saying there's some interesting stuff about the Superman trailer. There is. So if there's one thing that we know, is that one of the rumors that came out quite recently was from Collider, and they put it out as an exclusive, saying that they're hearing that the Superman trailer will be releasing around the middle of December. And this kind of made sense. So anywhere from like the 15th to the 19th-ish, you know, maybe putting it in front of the Mufasa movie. That makes sense. A lot of family audiences going to see Mufasa will be able to see the Superman trailer roll on the silver screen before their movie starts. It's a great way to advertise it initially. So a lot of our expectations have actually been, despite Collider, you know, they could be wrong. Yeah, like December 19th, 20th, somewhere around then could be a good date, right? But I have also heard this from DC Film News that yes, it does seem to be getting out in the streets now that press, as in like major trades kind of press, have been sent out invites for a screening of the Superman trailer. Now, what is intriguing about that, if we kind of assume that this is true, as DC Film News was telling me, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know what, this could make some sense. I don't want to get people's expectations up, but it really does when you start adding certain clues and information that we've learned over the past few weeks together. It's like, maybe there is something to this. But DC Film News was saying to me, like, what if it wasn't, would you really just send out a press invite to a screening of the trailer? Or would you do that? Sure, the trailer gets screened to them, but also there's a little bit of a slate update, possibly some confirmations of a couple of new projects that Gunn said not too long ago in Creature Commandos interviews that there are 2 near greenlit to greenlit projects that people don't know about, even though I think we do, but it's just that he's never really said anything officially about them, that will be announced in the next couple of months, of which he's also responded to people on threads about recently as well. So maybe if it's true, I know I keep making this kind of long here, but if it's true that press are getting invited to a screening for the Superman trailer, that maybe they will get a little bit of like a, hey, type this up in your article as well. Little information dump on new DC projects that are going to be greenlit or announced. Maybe let's just say, for example's sake, that is Sergeant Rock. Maybe you could argue that Bane, Deathstroke / Secret Six project is officially acknowledged then. Maybe there's a little bit of a rehash to the DCU slate compared to the January 2023 announcement, just in terms of release order. And, some people were even speculating, what if 1 or 2 of them actually gets tossed aside because they couldn't really make the script work? Now, the latter there is just, again, total speculation. But this wouldn't really surprise me if early next week we get some wind of extra information in addition to the Superman trailer releasing. Because this is really what they did back in January of 2023. Sure, we got that YouTube Gods and Monsters announcement video, but you may remember those leaked photos of press in the room, and you had Peter Safran there, and James Gunn sat down, and they had like a little projector kind of PowerPoint up of their logos for the roadmap of DCU Chapter 1, and that's how they got all of their like paragraphs for each project to put in their deadline and the Hollywood Reporter articles. Maybe there's a similar kind of gathering like that for all the main players out there in the press, in addition to the Superman screening. I think that would make sense. It's a little bit of a refresher. Hey, here's a new couple of projects. Here's what we're doing here. Here's what we're doing there. And hey, enjoy the Superman trailer that we're about to like release online for the public to see. But they will have their articles ready by the time the trailer releases on YouTube online. That kind of thing. Now, I do want to say I could be wrong about this. It's interesting how this is going along with like, some very vague posts on the streets, so to speak, with what other scoopers are saying, other prolific people, various teases here and there, being like, okay, maybe there is something cooking in the background here that is being kept hush-hush. And funnily enough, while making this video, Jeff Snyder has said the same thing. I didn't even know he said this, so this is what I mean with it getting around, but he said a press event for the Superman trailer is being held on Monday at the Warner Brothers lot, and this is what I mean with how it ties into how James Gunn could give them some extra tidbits to put out in their articles for then us, the public, to see it a few days later online. Now, Future Boba, 2 seconds on top of the discussion that past Boba's just talking about. It all blends together, trust me. Deadline said alongside the Clayface news update that we're going to get into, again with Future Boba, that meanwhile in other DC news, the trailer to James Gunn's Superman is dropping early next week. That movie happens in theaters next year on July 11th. So kind of what we're already talking about in this segment, but just thought that some of you would want to know that a major trade such as Deadline has said this. But the speculation about maybe more information coming out about other projects, I think, is still up in the air. Now, obviously, I do not know exactly when that will be. Next week, Thursday is the 19th, Friday is the 20th of December. I think it could be one of those days. So I would just love to know your thoughts on that. Do you believe that the trailer is releasing next week? I personally I'm leaning towards that being true, but do you also think that with the rumors of press getting invites to the screening, that they could do a January 2023 thing and getting them all ready to publish new articles with just a bit of extra information about the DCU, a slight restructuring or reordering, and a couple of new projects being greenlit and announced. Now, in some other related Superman news, I saw a lot of people overreacting to this one. So even reached Deadline here saying James Gunn to film pickup shots for Superman in order to enhance the film. No reshoots. Gunn said, sort of, not a few days. We're doing a day and a half of pickup shots. No scenes, no reshoots, just a handful of individual shots to enhance the film. Now, again, a lot of people were like, no, I told you, this is getting reshoots. The film is a disaster behind the scenes. You know, just the typical commentary there. But I just don't think those people know what reshoots are. Like, pickups are so small, as what James Gunn said. Like, a day and a half. As he said, there's no scenes, like, there's no cast being involved to reshoot scenes. It's kind of just really dotting the I's and crossing the T's on various shots that you want to kind of enhance just a little bit more. That is such minimal work on the grand scheme of things compared to that of a reshoot, because a reshoot is quite literally a reshoot of an entire scene. So honestly, I wanted to address this because people have been asking me about it. Hey, Boba, should we be concerned here? No, it's just probably James Gunn being a bit of a perfectionist saying, hey, actually, I feel like I can enhance that shot a little bit. Now, before we go back to the DCU, because we've got some interesting other tidbits to get to a little bit later on, I wanted to take a break from that for just a second because we have some other pretty damn big news with regards to this Clayface movie, because we have a new article from Variety and Deadline saying Clayface movie officially underway at DC Studios with Mike Flanagan. Now, James Gunn. So, Future Boba here. I had this video uploaded a few hours ago, but the curse struck and James Gunn confirmed Clayface himself. Literally. So all of my 10 minutes of rambling has gone down the drain. Not that I'm truly complaining here, because we've got quite a few new details, as well as like a little detail about Dynamic Duo's release date. James Gunn says here something that really fascinated me right out the gate that he didn't post on Twitter. So he says, exciting news out of DC official studios today as Clayface, a DCU story from a script by Mike Flanagan, has been officially greenlit. Clayface premieres in 2026. Now, the Deadline article actually states that it's got a release date of September 11th, 2026, which is really intriguing and actually matches up to what Apocalyptic Horseman said from Nexus Point News in how it could be filming spring, early next year. And a lot of us, myself included, were like, really? Like, okay, there's been some smoke behind the fire with Mike Flanagan and Clayface. There was that Deadline article from like March 2023 where Mike Flanagan himself said, oh, it's just entirely speculation. But I was like, I don't know. He deleted that tweet as well since. I don't know how many people noticed that because it never used to be deleted. Then the Clayface rumors continued. And then like basically the past couple of weeks it's heated up even more. And then bam, right as I'm talking about the rumors as of the past couple of days, James Gunn confirms it himself. And the reason why I said he didn't say it on Twitter is because I already recorded a little bit of this, and he just said, yeah, Clayface is coming, awesome. But he didn't say whether it was Elseworlds or the DCU. And that was actually a big talking point of what I recorded earlier on today for this video. It's like, you know, is it Elseworlds or is it like DCU or is it like Batverse, kind of like the Penguin but a movie? But no, it is DCU, and guess what? I had actually put my chips in the camp of Elseworlds. Not like Batverse Elseworlds, but maybe like a Joker thing for Clayface. But no, this is DCU Clayface, the same DCU Clayface that you saw in the Creature Commandos trailer and that you'll see in a few episodes' time in Creature Commandos, which is just even more interesting. Like, I can't give spoilers away for Creature Commandos Clayface, but you know, it's just, it's weird to imagine that animated character being this horror, thriller, tragedy as Mike Flanagan wants it to be. Now, producing is the Batman filmmaker Matt Reeves with Lynn Harris. This isn't super surprising. I also spoke about this earlier today in the first version of this, and I was trying to say to people, just because Matt Reeves is producing it, it doesn't mean that it's in the Batverse. Now we know it's in the DCU, but I was also saying, look at Batman Cape Crusader, Matt Reeves' involvement in that, his involvement in Dynamic Duo, his involvement in what would have been the DCU Arkham series with how James Gunn said last December that he would help produce that. Basically, Matt Reeves has got like a Batman guru badge on for not just his own Elseworlds Batverse movies, but DC Studios in general. And he's got his producing fingers in the Mike Flanagan written Clayface movie as well. Now, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm missing something here, it still doesn't have a director unless they do know behind the scenes who they want to direct it, but they're just not ready to say that yet. I've seen some people speculate about James Gunn, but I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. I want Mike Flanagan to direct it. I mean, he's written it. I really want him to direct it. That's a bit of a gut punch for me. Not trying to sound like ungrateful to like, okay, this is cool, but Mike Flanagan wrote it. I kind of want Mike Flanagan to direct it. That would be awesome. One thing I do have to mention, though, is despite this being a horror thriller tragedy, which I do believe it will be, I think this Clayface will go through something that makes him become Clayface in the kind of Batman lore kind of way. We know this is DCU now, so I don't need to speculate about all these other things, but that doesn't mean, as per what you're going to see in Creature Commandos, that he doesn't use his Clayface abilities to kind of get up to no good. I mean, even in the trailer, for crying out loud, you see him get his like clay hammer hand out and smack Rick Flag Sr. around the face with it. So there's no mistaking that this Clayface in the DCU is a Batman villain. That's just the case. But I guess, you know, no matter what, the origins of this villain are going to be kind of grounded in some trauma, as Matt Reeves likes to talk about as well quite a lot. But it's just they really want to tap into a live-action origin version of that tale, despite seeing him in Creature Commandos, maybe a bit more like animated, as per an animated show, but you know what I mean there, animated characters versus live action. Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos is going to act a little bit different to Rick Flag Sr. in Peacemaker Season 2, so it's that kind of vibe when we get this Mike Flanagan Clayface live action movie. Now, not to repeat myself too much here, but the Deadline article does say, quite literally, that he won't be painted as a villain, which has been his reputation, notoriously a villain to Batman. But this is a DCU Clayface story, and I can tell you from what I've seen in Creature Commandos, don't get me wrong, he's not like a mastermind, Joker, crazy, Mad Hatter type villain, but he's still, as I was getting into a minute ago, doing villainous things. So I guess what they're trying to say here is that the origins of it won't be like super arch nemesis villainous, but that doesn't mean that Clayface doesn't go on to like harness his abilities to do things and get up to no good by the time we're in the present day DCU in Creature Commandos. I think that's everything I've got to say right now about it, because there's not too many other details, and now that we know it's a DCU story, as I said, a lot of my speculation from the previous version of this video has gone out the window. But I would love to know what you think about this, knowing it is DCU Clayface. Also going to be interesting when you guys see Clayface in Creature Commandos, knowing that you're going to get a live action origin of that iteration of the character, written by Mike Flanagan and produced by Matt Reeves. And one last thing as well is Dynamic Duo has been slated for release for June 30th, 2028, which obviously is quite a while away, but also the amount of effort they're going to have to go through to make that movie, with the animation mixed with live action, mixed with puppetry, and God knows what else they're doing in there. Yeah, let them take their time. That's not really surprising to me. Not too much more commentary I can offer on that, but thought I'd fill you in. But now let's go back to past Boba, because this video is all over the place now with these little updates that I've had to chuck in here. There were rumors going around that Clayface and Scarecrow could be additional villains in the Batman Part 2, but James Gunn has now debunked that, and also given us another update on the script at the same time, which is a bit, so he says, firstly, no Clayface, no Scarecrow in Part 2, which is interesting, because wait, does that actually debunk any Scarecrow in Part 2? I mean, sure, Clayface, but no Scarecrow at all? Okay. Secondly, couldn't be the case, as there hasn't yet been a first draft of a script. So he's basically saying there, these details couldn't have really gotten out there anyway with regards to Clayface and Scarecrow being in the Batman Part 2. You may have seen those rumors going around because, there hasn't even been a first draft of a script submitted to James Gunn. Now, you guys know my thoughts. I'm still optimistic that they can still start shooting by May, June next year to reach the October 2026 release date. But, Matt, man, You got to hand in the first draft by now. I mean, God, Matt, please. Now, back to James Gunn, but also, funnily enough, related to the Batman 2 here. Well, he was asked, and a lot of people are like, well, see, this could mean that it's brought it back. I swear to God, I swear it's brought back Robert Pattinson could join the DCU, because Gunn was asked, have you ever contemplated integrating Pattinson's Batman into your DCU? Now, this is from Josh Horowitz with the Happy, Sad, Confused videos that he does, and he replied, and a lot of people, as usual, are taking this out of context. I've contemplated it, yeah. I've contemplated. You got to contemplate everything, Josh. You got to talk about everything. These questions you can't answer because people are too, they take everything to mean, I mean, you'd be an idiot to not think, what's this gonna, how does this go? How does that go? Stories, I want the freedom to tell Elseworld stories. We want to be able to tell a story where Superman's very different, tell a Red Sun story, whatever. It's like, we want to be able to play with these characters in different ways, and they're different. One of the things I love about DC over Marvel comic books is that those things are much more plentiful. There's many more Elseworld stories. There's many more presentations of Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, especially that you see them showing up in different ways in different Elseworld stories. I think that's a part of the fun of DC. So the reason why he added that end part on is because of what he said at the beginning. He said he's contemplated it. I mean, I would as well. This doesn't mean that Pattinson is going to be in the DCU after the Batman Part 3. It's just when asked that question, he candidly answered, yeah, when I came in as DC Studios co-CEO, if I would have myself, I would have been like, hey, let's contemplate it. It would be weird if I didn't even think about it. It would be almost lying if you asked me, if I was the CEO of DC Studios, hey, have I contemplated that? I would be lying if I said no, right? Like if I hadn't thought about it while I was taking a shower. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen because, as Matt Reeves has said in his meeting to James Gunn, yeah, bro, I don't want to do that. And ever since, every reply, which he must have given like 46 different replies to over the past couple of years now since, he came in November 2022, Matt Reeves wants to have his own standalone Batman, and we respect that. Like, he's said that in so many different ways. But all he's saying is here is that he's contemplated it. But he also added in, you can't answer these questions because people are, they take everything to mean, and he kind of cut himself off because he kind of probably expected that from this answer he would be getting a lot of people being like, well, these are the seeds. These are the seeds of it. It's got to come out sooner or later. But then he goes on to talk about how he's committed to telling Elseworld stories. Matt wants to do that. He respects that, and he's going to let that be that. And we are going to get a different DCU Batman. That's all I've got to say about it. If you want to believe otherwise, I can't change your mind at this point. But I know that's all that means. Now, next up in some DC news, we have, according to Jeff Snyder and the latest article he put out on his website, that maybe James Gunn recently canceled some DC projects. And obviously, we don't know if this is true. We don't know which ones they could be. This could tie into what I was saying earlier with what we may learn from the trades next week at the press event for the Superman trailer, and possibly what else they could learn with a DC slate update, new projects being announced that were greenlit, but maybe, just maybe, with some speculation here, some that were canned. And these could, if I was to put some money on it, even though we knew from Keanu Reeves and I think, was it Akiva Goldsman or whoever else, that the Constantine script was being written, and I think it even got fully completed. We hadn't heard an update about it since then, but just because, maybe they've written it, it doesn't mean that James Gunn is, going to read it and be like, oh, okay, I approve this to go into the next level of pre-production, being greenlit and actually getting things moving. He might be like, look, I appreciate the work, but I just don't see, this doesn't really meet that high bar for Elseworlds movies that we will greenlit as per what he said in the past. So maybe Constantine 2, and then we have the J.J. Abrams Black Superman movie. And we had Variety here put an article out on December 10th saying J.J. Abrams sets new TV and film production pact with Warner Brothers, signaling the end of the mega deal financial error. And that deal back in, 2019 for $500 million, where nothing really came out of it. But either way, he's got like a teeny little one now. And they say on the big screen, plenty of hype surrounded an Abrams-produced Black Superman film with a script by Ta-Nehisi Coates. That project is still technically alive, but has seen no forward movement since early 2023. Maybe we might learn that that's been canned as well if Jeff Snyder is accurate with his scoop here about Gunn canning a couple of projects. Now, of course, these projects could be DCU projects. Maybe you could argue, what if Waller isn't happening anymore? Because even though it was a project that was announced and that they planned to do, just because that was in the Gods and Monsters Chapter 1 January 2023 announcement video, it doesn't mean that they managed to get a script that they were completely happy with to the point of greenlighting it. Do you know what I mean? So it could be a DCU project or two that is no longer going to happen, but it could just be those two Elseworlds projects I've just mentioned. I think it could be those rather than them pulling out of Waller or something like The Authority. But I'd love to know your own thoughts on that. Now, there are quite a few other tidbits that I want to get into, but I don't have time for everything. But the ones that I do want to cover just before ending this video is one here from DCU Updates, and where they highlighted an interview with James Gunn, and the interviewer asked, G.I. Robot Sean Gunn in live action would be quite something. Has that subject been broached in some capacity? Gunn said, yeah, we've talked about all of these characters in live action and how we would do them if we did them in live action. I don't want to give away any secrets, but we use some technology in Superman that's completely new in regards to this kind of stuff. So we would know exactly how to do G.I. Robot. Now, we know in Creature Commandos episode 3, G.I. Robot kind of blew up. Doesn't mean he couldn't come back one day. But the interesting thing out of this is that, the fact that he's talking about, oh, there's some things we do in Superman, in where basically it's the technology that would bring G.I. Robot to life, a robot. So now people are kind of thinking, what kind of similar technology could be made useful with a similar character or thing in the Superman movie? Maybe, a Fortress of Solitude robot, as per like All-Star Superman that we've discussed before. Maybe Lex in his war suit or something like that. I've also talked about before how in the Superman movie, we could have Lex Luthor like in For All Seasons, and where he had these Luthor robots going around basically trying to save people, but really they were getting in Superman's way and not really doing an efficient job of them. But you're probably seeing a picture on screen, and maybe, as per the suits that they're wearing, it could be something they could utilize that technology with, as per what Gunn was saying here. I would love to know any ideas that you have there, but it's definitely interesting to consider. And then again from DCU Updates here, highlighting another really interesting tidbit about the Justice League in the DCU. So Gunn said, yeah, they're like canon. Peacemaker is pretty straightforward, with the exception of the appearance by a certain group, which is the former DCEU's Justice League at the end. He laughs and he says, they don't exist yet. But the rule is, if we mention something from the past in one of the new DCU shows and movies, then it happened. So that's the way we're dealing with it. But still, he's confirming that the Justice League do not exist. Now, some people may be like, this isn't a surprise. I think it could be taken either way, because, with how old Hal Jordan is in the DCU and in Lanterns being played by Kyle Chandler, sure, he might not be his actual real life age in universe, but clearly he's been a Lantern legend, having been a Green Lantern for at least a couple of decades. I've entertained the idea maybe there was a Justice League in the past, but with the public in the Reverse Kingdom Come sense influence over this DCU, in where heroes and metahumans and villains have become very rampant compared to what they used to be, maybe the public, just like in the Kingdom Come storyline, became a bit disenfranchised with the idea of heroes. Even though I still think that's the case with like the parameters of how many metahumans are out there, I wondered if the Justice League of the past, like the OG Justice League or like a very proto-Justice League, was disbanded. But Gunn is saying here that they've actually never existed. Now, this isn't to say that there hasn't been, team-ups before, like the Justice Society of America in World War II. We could get references to that with Sergeant Rock if that movie gets made. But yeah, it does seem like after Superman, especially with them shooting in the Hall of Justice location, that with him, you know, as per in Kingdom Come, but in the reverse sense, bringing back, you know, the golden age of heroes and their moral compass to the present day parameters of the DCU, where you have these heroes like Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, having and wearing Lord Tech suits, which is a corporate company. Maybe they band together and create a Justice League, since they don't exist yet, which is just cool to know. We can talk more about this in a discussion series video that I plan to put up over Christmas. I'm waiting until the Superman trailer comes out to do that, because I don't want to talk about all of this DC stuff for then the Superman trailer to come out and then for us to have a whole bunch of new stuff to talk about. So look forward to that video at Christmas. Of course, ask any questions for that video in this comment section. But that is everything I wanted to talk about in this massive news roundup video. So I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you being patient with me over my week break, but we are back to business as usual. I'll be doing my Superman trailer breakdown hopefully next week, but I can't wait to see what you thought of every single story that we covered in today's video. Another huge shout out to Fan Home for continuing to work with us on the channel. If you're interested in that Star Trek Starships diecast collection, don't forget to click the link in the description or in the top pinned comment and check it out for yourself. It really helps support the channel if you use the Boba code as well. But that is everything from me. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to love you and leave you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll see you people of the DCU in the next video. Goodbye.